Steve Bowers welcoming you to Dialogue here at E+ TV6. Paul Haas is with us. He is the music director, conductor of the Jackson Symphony, the fourth one in the symphony's 65-year history. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You don't just wind up in this chair, wind up in Jackson, Tennessee. How did music begin in your life?
Well, that's a pretty open-ended question.
It is an open-ended question.
Yeah, I mean, I started, well, the story goes that my mom took me to my sister's violin lesson, and then I wouldn't shut up until they gave me violin lessons.
You liked it?
I loved it, yeah.
Okay, wow.
So I dove into violin and then started to sing in the fourth grade. I was in San Francisco, was in a cathedral choir, so a little boy soprano. Hard to imagine, but yeah, that was me. And then I just kept on adding things. I added jazz piano in the 7th grade, jazz violin in the 9th grade, started composing, arranging. I was lead singer in rock bands. And then, yeah, I'll give you the short story.
All of that in the San Francisco area?
Yeah,
the Bay Area, okay.
I mean, and then off to college. Went to Yale on the East Coast and started my own orchestra there. It just sort of was, I was just good at all the things that you needed to be a conductor, and so I said, hey, why not try it out?
Why not try this? And looking back on it, did you ever figure out what that trigger was or why it hit you that way? I can't jazz violin in the 9th grade is not something I was thinking about. You know?
No, I mean, it was what was there in the school. Like we had a really good jazz program, good jazz
So the education to plug in made a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I went to the best ensembles we had in our high school and did whatever I could there. And, you know, I wrote and arranged for those ensembles and then the rock bands and all that. I don't know, I was scattered, I think is a mean way of putting it, but you're just voracious.
So then composing and all this, how did that start? Or when did you say, okay, I think I can do this, right?
Well, it started with arranging. So I'd be sitting there in my room listening to the radio.
All right.
And I'd hear something that I wanted to write down and play. And then, and so I'd get out the music paper and write it down. Okay. And so it was basically transcribing what I heard from the radio to a piece of paper. Right. And I got decent at that. I mean, not good in the first little bit, but, and then that turned into, I wonder if I could use that skill and just come up with my own stuff. And so I began to write pop songs. And then a cappella songs for voices, and then got interested in, because I'd been singing in this choir, I then wrote a mass for a cappella choir, and you know, just kind of built from there. It was very organic and very weird.
All right, so if you're in rock bands and everything else, you know, you're around people, exposed to people. Girls tend to love guys that are in rock bands and all this other stuff. Were you like hip, or were you like kind of the weird guy in this world?
I was weirdly hip.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't one of the guys who were jocks. And,
okay.
You know, I played soccer. We didn't even have football in my school. I played soccer and volleyball. Okay. So you know, kind of cool out in California, maybe not so cool in Tennessee. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's impossible to imagine a school without basketball and football here. You know?
Yeah, no, of course. I was
Soccer's
not
yet
either of those.
Okay, soccer's not quite our lead sport. It's out there and it's good, but it's not quite our lead sport yet.
I was a nerd in disguise, basically. Yeah.
All right, so the decision then, when you went to Yale, it was to pursue this passion.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I actually got into UC Berkeley engineering, and a full scholarship. I was about to go there, and then I thought, I'm a little too close to my parents. And then that took me out east.
So how
and then I took a conducting class in my first year. I wasn't even a music major, hadn't decided any of that.
So when you applied to Yale, it was kind of open-ended.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I loved music.
Well, not everybody applies to Yale gets in, so you obviously had a strong academic background.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was okay. Yeah. But so...
Or your parents were major donors, you know.
Right, yeah, that... No. So yeah, I went there very open-ended. I took this crazy liberal arts sort of philosophy, language, very rigorous entrance group of classes called directed studies, and I decided immediately that I was not that person. I was not cut out to be a professor or anyone who appeared smart.
Okay.
So I was like, let's try something else. So that's when I got into music a bit more, because I knew I loved it. And then a conducting class was offered that second semester, and I took that, and that's when I, 2 and 2 started to equal 4 for me.
So if you had gone to Berkeley and stayed in engineering, then...
God help us. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I might have chosen the wrong profession.
Okay. Well, that's a fascinating thing, because you get it, your head. So even though you're passionate about this music, that was not what you envisioned as a career.
Well, I just wasn't very smart at that point. I didn't really understand how important it was, how valuable it was to have something that I loved.
Okay.
That just wasn't very clear to me, because I just had it.
Okay.
And I didn't have to make a living, and so anyway.
Yeah, that does give you some options.
Yeah.
When you don't have to make a living. Yeah. So you get to Yale.
Cuts out a lot of options too.
So you get into Yale then, and so the second year when you say, okay, maybe.
Yeah. So after that first class, I decided during the summer, I said I should really start my own orchestra, because as a conductor, when you become a conductor, you'll understand this. Mm-hmm. No one's just throwing a group at you. Right, you don't just say, oh, I'd like to be a conductor, or where can I do this? Yeah. That doesn't happen. So I had to start my own orchestra. So I went up to my residential college, which is where I lived. It's kind of the dorm at Yale, and I said, hey, do you guys want an orchestra for this residential college? And I don't know what possessed her to say yes. But she did, and so then they paid for all the music and for all the printing of their brochures and everything. And I basically kept out of their hair. They gave me the dining room to rehearse in, and it was a pretty cool situation. So I did that for 4 years, because I took off 1 year during college to sing, and then and it kept on going through my graduation.
We're going to pick it up with the Yale Band as we continue. Paul Haas is with us. He's the conductor of the Jackson Symphony. And this is Dialogue at E+ TV6.
Hey, let's check out this park. That's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Welcome back to Dialogue at E+ TV6. We're talking with Paul Haas, who is the conductor, music director of the Jackson Symphony, only the 4th in the 65-year history of the symphony here in Jackson. So you find the support, stay out of our hair and do what you want kind of thing. So how did you recruit musicians? And what were you looking to do? What kind of music were you looking to do?
You're giving me a lot of credit that I actually thought that stuff through. I wanted an orchestra.
Step at a time.
Yeah. So I figured I got to get people together, and so I figured a good way would be to get 2 of the hotshot musicians at Yale to be soloists in my first concert, and then they would get their friends and come together and do the thing.
Did it work?
It did.
Okay.
It did. So I picked the most ridiculously difficult piece to do in my first concert. We did Copland's Appalachian Spring, which I don't know what I was smoking at that point, but something very powerful.
Okay.
But we got through it.
Okay, got through it. Who came to this concert?
So it was, the great thing is that the publicity was amazing. They had a printing press at JE, an old school actual printing press.
Okay, typeset
Yeah,
printing
so
press.
I just said, would you design me a really cool looking poster? And so we got these amazing handmade posters with the logo and everything that we posted all around the campus. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we ever had a concert that wasn't full.
And you did this for 4 years at Yale? It took off a year, you said, to sing.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 years, and it was an amazing experience. And like, I mean, hardly anybody gets that opportunity when they start out.
All right, so at what point then you say, well, this is what I'm going to do?
Right.
This is
when am
how-
I not going to be an engineer?
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I kept on studying conducting. I studied privately with the conductor of the Yale Symphony. And it was great. I was learning a lot, and I figured this is probably what I want to do. But it didn't have that sense of I have something to offer the world
okay.
here. It was just I liked it. I loved it. It went beyond like. But so then I went to Germany after Yale to study conducting again. Again, hadn't really, married it.
You went where in
I
Germany?
went to Dresden,
Okay.
to the Hochschule für Musik.
All right.
Everybody knows that,
How'd you
right?
find out about them?
This is through my conducting teacher
All right.
at Yale.
Yale,
He
okay.
went to Leipzig, and he said Leipzig and Dresden are the two really amazing places that are not normal. Like they're sort of behind the Berlin Wall, sort of the Eastern influence
Eastern,
that
okay.
hasn't been touched and
Wow.
made Western, basically. So I chose Dresden. Conducting is kind of weird the way they teach it in Germany compared to here. Here they give you time in front of an orchestra, but there it's mostly you just play piano all day long. And so I was playing about 9 hours of piano a day. I wasn't really, I would say, a good pianist before I went there, but I got there, and on the first day, I was told that I was going to be the rehearsal accompanist for the choral rehearsals and all that for Carmina Burana, which is an insane task. It's like, you know how normally there are 2 lines on a staff for piano music, the right hand and the left hand?
Right.
This, a lot of the time, has 4 staffs running across the page, and you got to like put it all together and figure out what you're going to do. Anyway, so I had 1 month to get from 0 to 65.
Okay, so this is drag racing.
Yeah, and so I Formula One'd it. I really almost hurt my wrists doing it, but we made it there, and it was an incredible experience. Those 2 years in Dresden. They made me rigorous in my practicing in a way that I hadn't been before. Just taught me so much about just work.
Okay.
Really concentrating effort.
What is the connection then from playing the piano and conducting? Because as you say, you
Right,
try to
right.
get in front of an orchestra here, and so theirs is a whole different approach.
Right. So the path is usually in Germany to become the rehearsal accompanist for an opera house.
Okay.
And that's you're the assistant conductor, but
So
you're
you're
just playing.
you're
playing
backdooring
piano
your way into this
Right. So you're
business.
playing piano all the time, but you know the scores, and you hopefully know what to do when you step up there, even though you've never done it.
Okay.
And then the maestro gets sick, and then you're on.
You're on.
Like that's your
When
job.
did that happen?
That didn't happen because I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
And I actually got another opportunity there that was even more amazing than that. So I mentioned I was a singer as well, and so I got into this really incredible chamber chorus that did original instrument performances of like Baroque. And Renaissance music and just very rarefied stuff. And the conductor of this, there was 16 of us, and there was a conductor who was just off the charts amazing. I mean, this guy, he created colors. He would elicit colors out of us that I just had no idea were possible. He'd be like, you know, in St. Matthew Passion, I want to hear the soldiers rip the clothes off of Jesus as he's up on the cross. And you could feel it. I mean, the energy was palpable. Anyway, so there were things he could do to elicit these colors out of the chorus, and he made me his assistant conductor. And so we were traveling in South Africa, and one day he was like, I'm taking off. I'm going to go do my thing, and Paul, you're in charge.
In South Africa?
In South Africa, and we had 2 concerts that day. And I had never done anything with the group.
Wow.
And so I got up there, and I just did what he did. I knew exactly what I wanted and what they were capable of. Just did the things that he did, and I guess, I'm not sure, but at that point, I knew that I had something that I could give. I knew colors and could elicit colors and energy and excitement and passion in a way that I hadn't experienced before. And so I was like, at that point I said, this is my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are. We're going to break right here and come back. Paul Haas is with us. We got to get him from South Africa to Jackson, Tennessee. And we're going to try to do that and bring this plane in for a landing as we continue dialogue here at E+ TV6.
What this place needs is better graduation rates.
What this place needs is less childhood obesity.
What this place needs is free help with taxes.
What this place needs is healthy breakfasts.
What this place needs is fitness programs for kids.
What this place needs is early readers.
What this place needs is mentors for teens.
What this place needs is people to join us. What this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Welcome back to Dialogue at E+ TV6. Conversation with Paul Haas, who is the music director, conductor of the Jackson Symphony. We're in South Africa, and you're thrown into the conducting business. We got a few more steps to make. We're going to get from there to Juilliard.
Yeah, I auditioned.
Was that planned, or did
it
that
was very much planned.
Okay,
yeah,
I mean, this was just spring one day, but you're beginning to calculate now.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I always wanted to do this actually. Okay. So it was the same teacher who my teachers studied with, and it had a 3-day audition. That is the most difficult and rigorous of any program out there, basically.
So you're going to Juilliard as a vocalist or as a
as a conductor.
Okay.
Yeah, the conducting program. So you go through one full day with about 75 people there. He winnows it down to about 10 people for the second day. Second day, you go into his office. He sits you down at the piano, puts scores in front of you, and grills you. Then the next day, you've got about 3 to 5 people. The third day, puts you up in front of the orchestra, and then his average is he accepts 1 person a year. Okay. So I got it.
Okay.
And then after that, I got my first real job with.
You were at Juilliard how long?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
okay.
I got my master's there, and then did an extra year beyond that. Got my first job with real professional job with the New York Youth Symphony, performs in Carnegie Hall. Was there for 5 years. Got to do amazing repertoire, work with incredible soloists, and of course conducting in Carnegie Hall. There's nothing like it. Getting reviewed by the New York Times and all that. It's pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, I would think so.
Started my own orchestra, sort of
in New York?
Alternative, yeah, in New York. Started my own orchestra called Sympho, which was alternative ways of presenting classical music to new audiences that incorporated things like, you know, we have eyes, and just more like an iPod, if you remember what an iPod is, like a playlist, right?
Okay.
Spotify playlist. We'll make it for Gen Z. Yeah, at that point, that got a lot of traction, got a lot of press, and was really fun. I started to get commissioned by big venues like the Park Avenue Armory in New York, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. It was really incredible. And simultaneously, I got my first professional conducting, like a professional orchestra music directorship with the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, where I'm actually wrapping up my tenure right now.
Okay. Now, how long ago was that?
That was 2010.
So you stayed in New York up until 2000?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, so my math's not so good right now, but yeah, it was a long time.
So 15 years ago, then you're landing in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah. So
what is that symphony like, and what's its history?
Well, it had closed its doors recently before I got the job.
Okay.
So they ran.
How did it start?
Sorry?
How did it start?
Well, it was a community-based orchestra partnership with the University of Arkansas.
So we're in Fayetteville, okay?
Yeah, Fayetteville.
Right. Okay.
And so it had sort of its first arc, and then kind of ran into hard times.
Okay.
Had to shut its doors, and then that's when I got a call to come down and audition.
Okay.
Because
what attracted you to that? Like, okay, well, I'm in New York, I'm in Carnegie Hall, and I'm going to Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, I wasn't necessarily attracted when I got the phone call.
Okay.
But I said, hey, I'll go down. And when I got to Northwest Arkansas, I mean, it's kind of like the feeling I got when I came here, right? That there is so much going on, right? And because of Walmart and Tyson and
there's
JB
money. There's
Hans.
Rockefeller money in Arkansas.
I mean, there's some serious cash there.
Yeah.
And great support for the arts and for just quality of life, right?
Right.
And so it's hard not to see that.
Okay.
You can't unsee it once you've driven through there and seen all that's going on. So I immediately said yes to that. And so I won that audition. And basically had to start an orchestra from scratch. And so that was an incredible opportunity and very educational. I mean, and the repercussions of everything I did, I learned from, right? I mean, it's not like you really get this opportunity a lot to build an orchestra from scratch. And so it was a phenomenal experience. We went from, complete just $250,000 in debt to over $1 million endowment and balanced budgets of over $1 million, and it's an incredible experience.
When you're building an orchestra, your first musicians come from
everywhere.
Right, that area, or
we went everywhere. I mean, it's not like you can be too picky. If your emphasis is on quality, you got to go where the musicians are. So we had some from Fayetteville, from the university, and otherwise, but then we went to Tulsa, Kansas City, even as far away as like Dallas.
Okay.
I mean, and frankly, Memphis. I mean, there are people willing to drive.
Yeah. Okay. To perform the symphony.
Yeah.
All right. So you're there up until, you're still there.
I'm finishing up
as we're doing this
in a couple days, actually.
As we're doing this in 2025 here.
Yeah.
All right. So you get a call from Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Are you hear about it, or what happened?
So I heard about it from a friend of mine who has played in the Jackson Symphony for a number of years, and I decided to put my hat in the ring, and I got I don't even remember the process, but I eventually it's supposed to be a 2-year process, where you get to be a finalist through an interview process, and then the next season. So next season would have been the 3 finalists.
Finalists conducting,
battling. It's gross.
A
lot of bloodshed.
Yeah.
And The way I understand it is after my interview, they called off the search.
Okay.
And so they came and saw
Kind of
me.
like Juilliard are. We're down to one. We know who it is.
Yeah, saw me conduct, and then we had a great dinner after my concert. And then I came and visited Jackson, and then they made the offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here, in your mind?
I thought you were going to tell me. Well, I'm pretty new here. So I mean, we go. Our first step is to solidify artistic quality, right? And so my mandate coming into this position from the board is to make this an auditioned group. So full auditions for the full orchestra. Initially, and then national auditions for any seats that aren't left, and we're in the middle of doing those national auditions, and we'll continue doing those national auditions in perpetuity. You know, as long as there's a seat open, every year we'll do that. I had to program an entire season in a couple weeks, and that was fun and challenging simultaneously, because you're talking about not just what pieces you're doing, but what soloists are going to be playing the pieces, and really reaching into my network to pull some rabbits out of hats. But we have a fantastic season next season, and really at this point it's just building processes that allow us to execute. I mean, we're growing fast, and if you grow fast and you don't have the processes and procedures in place, it can get pretty hairy pretty fast. So right now it's all about fine-tuning the machine and making sure that we understand exactly what we're doing every step of the way, so we're good stewards of our sponsors' money, of the community's trust, and basically turning this into everything it can be, and everything that the community already believes that it can be. So it's an immense amount of responsibility and pressure, but it is so fun. Okay. It's incredible.
All right. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The plane has landed. So when you sense this opportunity, you see an opportunity to continue to grow here. And to be here. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like in some ways the administrative side of this orchestra is ready to grow, and I feel like my job is to join them and have the orchestra occupy a place where we can support that growth, right? And a lot of that is the transition from a pickup ensemble into where there's no real job security, where you just get hired, whoever you want to hire every season, you hire them. Now we're going to transition into an auditioned professional orchestra where it is, once you win your seat, that seat is yours. Right? Okay. And so there's a huge sense of ownership that comes from that, and it's like trust. Like the organization places its trust in you as a musician, and that's a way different feeling.
All right. Good to have you here. Paul Haas, 65th season of the Jackson Symphony. He's landed in Jackson, Tennessee. We're glad he's here. Thank you for being with us, and stay with us here at E+ TV6, because this is the place where the dialogue continues.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Jessica, we need to leave right now.
I need to get something. Dance recitals are so boring.
There's a meaning no one knows. Wait until we set
So
free.
what's the empty suitcase for?
The grand prize trophy.
Duh.
confidence. Pass it on.
I was born to be somebody.